camp is in Chelsea, Michigan,
Okay.
and the kids go, it's a week-long program, and I think it's ages 9 to 16 right now, and they get very hands-on guidance from their camp counselors, and they get to learn all about, they do archery, fishing, they learn about plant identification and why, once again, why it's all important. That's one of the big things, and it's a great thing. The kids just have a wonderful week at camp. They learn a lot and they have fun, and that helps to spark their interest too in the outdoors.
So how much is the camp, and they find that through your website? Is
Yeah, mucc.org is our website that has all the information on camp and the Tracks magazine and some of our other programs. We have a Wildlife Encounters program, makes trips all across the state of Michigan with live animals to teach habitat and things like that, and all about the wildlife. So we have a lot of kids programs. And
well, it's interesting. We have a constituent that was an African hunter by the name of Marty Kotange, who has taken his trophy room and opens it up for I think it's primarily 6th and 7th graders to come over and visit the trophy room, and they show the tapes that they have from when they went on their African safaris, and it's been just for a lot of these kids a very eye-opening experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
yeah, that's excellent.
It's coming up with the fall sports. What are the things that we should be looking forward to? Is there a fall turkey season?
Absolutely.
Since I didn't get one this spring.
Fall turkey.
Now, do you have any good pointers on where I should go this year?
Well, for fall turkeys, you know, northern Michigan is kind of been the stronghold as far as fall turkey hunting participation.
Okay.
But southern Michigan fall turkey hunting is extremely underutilized.
Okay.
Everybody's deer crazy. I'm deer crazy. I mean, I'm as crazy about turkeys as anybody, and my wife will tell you way too crazy about turkeys. But deer hunting really takes precedent for me in the fall. I'll get a turkey permit and I'll go out a few times, but not like in the spring. Fall turkey.
So if you get a turkey this summer or this spring, you can also get another turkey.
Absolutely. And the important thing to remember is you can shoot hens or toms in the fall, and the DNR really encourages you to take hens because that's the only time we have to control populations. And in the southern parts of the state, we are starting to see population issues with crop damage and things like that. The fall turkey hunt is quite a bit different than the spring, but it's fun, and it's the perfect one to take a kid on because the weather's fairly warm. They don't have to get up at 5 a.m.
How does a fall turkey hunt different?
Basically, you want to find a flock of turkeys, and then you want to do what you would never do in the spring, and you want to run into them and scare them away. Scatter them as far as you can. They're very community-oriented in the fall. Scatter them up, sit down, start calling a turkey. They want to get back together for security reasons. And 10, 15 minutes later, after you scatter them, you're going to start hearing them. You'll hear the young ones doing a kiki, which is sort of like a whistle, and they'll just start gathering together. I personally think it's much harder to take a tom in the fall than the spring because they don't necessarily get back together after you scatter them. Occasionally they do, but you know, hunting a hen in the fall is a lot of fun. And if you think it's easy to get a turkey ever, try to get a longbeard in the fall. It's probably the most challenging time to get one, but it's awesome.
Okay, so then we have we've been doing some studies on the flyways for ruffed grouse and woodcocks. We're in probably some of the best in northern Michigan. Tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
Well, if you believe in the grouse cycle, lots of biologists do, some don't. I can't hit them anyway, so I think the only cycle I know is cycling more shells in as they fly away. But
we had that problem in December this year.
Yeah.
It was very tough.
The cycle, as far as what I've heard from other people, we're not at the peak, we're not at the bottom, we're about in the middle. So the number of grouse in woodcock should be a little higher this year than it was last year. Habitat, again, remains the key. If you find good habitat, you'll find good grouse hunting. We need more good habitat, and we're working on that through state forest issues and national forest issues, but the grouse hunting should be a little bit better this year than it was last year. And again, northern Michigan is a stronghold, but there are some nice pockets of cover in southern Michigan, which I'll never tell you where they are.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, so we go from we've talked about turkey, we've talked about fly. Then we go to bear hunting this fall. Yeah,
bear hunting starts in September. I actually was lucky enough to draw a Michigan bear tag this year. Good for you.
First time.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to be heading up to the UP for that.
Where are you going?
Be up in probably Menominee County. that's where my tag is for, and I'm going to head out September 15th. We're going to be running dogs this year, so that'll be fun.
That'll be very. We're going into Amasa, which is near Baraga, that area.
Yeah.
And so I have some friends up there that have invited me up, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That'll be a lot of fun. And
okay, so we have Bear this fall.
Bear this fall.
And that's if the applications are probably well past. Are there any extra tags?
Applications are done. I don't believe so for Bear.
Okay.
The elk season's coming up too. That application period is June and July.
Okay.
So that's something to remember from year to year.
Yeah.
That's
But that's so hard. I mean, like,
very hard.
I mean, I put in for my preference points, and I think I'm up to like 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's probably a lot easier to draw a Bear tag, I think,
Yeah.
for Michigan than an elk tag. But keep trying
That's right.
anyways.
So once I get to about 65 or 70, I'll probably get one.
Hey, there's a lot of guys who never get one, but
Yeah.
yeah, keep trying. So.
Yeah. And then what else do we have from the animal perspective?
Well, obviously pheasant hunting
Yeah.
at one time was just the king of Michigan. It's not anymore.
Why
Again,
do you think that was?
It's habitat. There's no doubt about it. It's a habitat issue. In fact, the Farm Bill is up for reauthorization in Congress this year. Every sportsman needs to contact anybody they can. If we lose the Farm Bill, if we lose any segment of the Farm Bill, we will see devastating impacts in the state of Michigan. And we really don't benefit to the extent some other states do from the Farm Bill because we don't have the type of habitat and terrain that's really conducive to CRP. CRP sets
Right.
aside non-productive farmland. Our farmland's all pretty good. But what we do have from the Farm Bill, if we can't lose it, period. I mean, it's just that final. We cannot lose it. We have to reauthorize the Farm Bill, and we have to fund everything that's in the Farm Bill. We have to do that. Pheasant numbers are down because habitat is different. No-till farming has made a difference, but it's not going to make the difference it did in the 50s and 60s. We're not going to see those types of grassy areas. We have great organizations like Pheasants Forever and grouse, the Rough Grouse Society and those Quail Unlimited. But we have to realize we're working with a limited area of habitat. But pheasant numbers in the areas where there's good habitat are solid, and pheasant hunting's still a strong tradition.
And it's more over in the thumb. Is that kind of what I've heard?
The thumb is very good. Parts of northern Michigan, believe it or not, can be very good if you can find that type of fallow grassland area, and then pockets of southern Michigan where people have done extensive habitat work.
It was amazing to me. We were down. Another area I've been working on are cities and redevelopment of cities because I feel that if we're going to pass the legacy of farm and hunting on, we've got to reduce some of the pressures on rural Michigan. And we were in downtown Detroit, and right along the railroad tracks were a bunch of pheasants. I was just amazed.
The most pheasants I've ever seen in my life, and I've hunted turkeys in South Dakota several times, is downtown Detroit launching a boat on the Detroit River.
Yeah.
There was over 100 pheasants.
Wow.
Just, the burned out buildings, not a pretty area, but that's where the boat launch was.
Yeah.
I was astonished. Obviously, we're not going to start a hunting program in downtown Detroit, but it just goes to show you give them the habitat, they'll live anywhere they can.
Right.
Obviously the big thing in the fall is the deer season.
Right.
Depending on who you ask, deer hunting is right now phenomenal or the worst it's ever been. That's the nature of deer hunting. Generally speaking, southern Michigan deer hunters are going to have another fantastic year. Lots of antlerless tags available. You should take your allotment of 3 because it's the right thing to do for the habitat. Everybody wants to see lots of deer, but we're degrading the habitat. If you look through your woods and you can't see, browse small, shrubs, and it's about 4 foot high, that's not what your woods is supposed to look like. That is deer damage. It's subtle, and if you don't travel to other places and see the difference, you wouldn't notice that there's a difference. There is. We have too many deer in southern Michigan in some areas.
What was always interesting as a scout, when I was in the Boy Scouts, we would spend 3 or 4 days on South Manitou and 3 or 4 days on North Manitou. And the difference in the flora and the fauna was night and day because there was no deer population on South Manitou and there was a large population on North Manitou. Now that's come in check, but like you say, you could go we'd go out in the field on hikes and you could just see for great distances in the woods, which you're normally not accustomed to being able to do.
Upper Peninsula deer, right now, it's kind of dangerous to say, but that looks like it could be a bright spot because their winter was basically non-existent. The deer numbers will have rebounded. you're still not going to see tons of deer. Again, it's a habitat thing.
Right. Well, and I think, you know, we've had some disease problems coming over from Wisconsin, and then I know in our blind, well, my blind where I was outside of Amossaw, there was we had